But it was funny. Like when I was a kid, I had this really weird habit of like I was always bored with the toys I had. I never liked the toys I had. Like my parents would give me these great toys. I was into all sorts of like Thundercats and Voltron. I had all this stuff, right? Had all this stuff. Never played with it. I would go outside. My thing was to take paper clips. True story. Paper clips and unbend them and like tie them together into these weird sculptures. I mean, there was nothing like art, but it was just like, I'm gonna make a weird thing out of this. And my mom was horrified by this because paper clips cost money. And I'm over there going, doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo. So I used to hide them, because if I threw them in the trash, she'd find them when she emptied the trash and be like, what is this? I told you to, oh, stop playing with paper clips, it's weird. So for years I used to hide them behind this couch at my grandparents' house. And like 18 years later, when we had to move things out of this house, she moves this couch and screams bloody murder when she finds what looks like this giant alien cocoon made of twisted up paper clips just sitting there. I mean, she thought it was alive. She had no idea. She's going at it with a broom, and I'm like, oh my God, those are the paper clips I used to play with. I was creative, Mom, shut up. It was hysterically funny, but yeah. So okay, now you in saying yes. Now you.
Could you tell us the story how you managed to land the role of Kraft Lawrence?
Oh, the story of how I managed to land the. It's not a very interesting story. I just went and auditioned and got it. And it's like, I mean, I wish it was a more interesting story than that. Because I loved Spice and Wolf. I loved working on that show, and I read it. But to be perfectly honest, when I kind of read what it was about, I'm like, this sounds kind of like a paid check, because the story just didn't grab me. Just hearing it summed up, it's one of those stories that summed up just doesn't. It's hard to sum up because it's about so many things that you can't just put into words. It's subtle. There's so much to read between the lines that I thought, yeah, it's about a guy in medieval Germany and a wolf goddess and economics. Okay, you know. And then I got the part, and when we started recording it, like the first session, I'm like, wow, this is actually really good. Wow, oh my God. And that is, to date, probably one of my all-time favorite roles. Like, Lawrence is always in the top, like, 5 of characters that I will never forget playing, because I had so many great, wonderful, and organic experiences while recording that. I have a really fun story about that. Jamie Markey, who plays Chloe, she also directed much of the dub, and she adapted all of it. And her scripts were just sublime. I mean, wonderful scripts. She was so good at bringing out the subtext of all the sort of that romantic tension, not just between Holo and Lawrence, but between Lawrence and Chloe and several other characters come up. All these relationships, all this, you know, there's this wonderful scene that she and I were recording one evening, and she was playing Chloe, but she hadn't recorded Chloe yet, so she was just directing me that night. And it was the scene when we kind of, you know, it's in the first episode, I believe, and he and Chloe, Lawrence and Chloe, are talking about, you know, haven't seen each other in a while, I've grown up, and you know, and it's clear that they have a history, and that she's always had a crush on him, and now that she's grown up, and they can be together, and he's kind of like not sure if he wants to or not, and they're talking about their own ideals for themselves in terms of like what I want to do with my business. He wants to open up a shop one day, she wants to open up a shop, and all this other stuff, and basically it's this wonderfully like just circuitous piece of dialogue where they're not able to say how they really feel, so they're couching everything they say in these sort of business euthemisms, and it's really subtle and it's really touching in a way, because you're like they're too witty with each other, like so witty that neither one of them will be the first one to say like, yeah, we should get it on. Like, no, they won't do it, right? So they're just like, well, when I'm gonna have a business one day and I'm gonna open up a shop, but I really do like travel and blah 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 blah, and all of that's there. Well, we were recording this, and because she wasn't recorded yet, she decided to just come in on mic while I was recording and start saying the lines that were there. So we started having this moment where she just let the engineer go and record the entire like scene as, you know, at once, and we were just having this really cool moment. Like, I'm seeing her through the glass of the recording booth, and we're looking at each other, and we're having this very sincere, organic, almost stage scene like moment because of the way it just happened. And it was like, afterwards we're like, let's go grab some coffee. That was good. It was really good. And like the best thing is we went back and almost everything fit. Like we put it in there and it just fit. Like it was amazing. And there were so many moments like that recording on that show, because that is such a character-driven piece, and those characters are so fascinating. Holo is wonderful. As much as I love everything Brina Palencia touches, because the woman is so unfairly talented. Like, it's not right. No one should be that good at what they do. But Brina is amazing. Her holo is incredible, and it's funny how while we were recording that, I guess both of us being method actors, she kind of treated me like Lawrence, as Holo would most of the time, because she's a dear friend of mine. I see her all the time, and she would treat me like Lawrence, like throwing potatoes at me and whatnot. and so it was just that I don't know. Breen and I work really well together for some reason. We just have voices that I think counterpoint each other really well. And that's a great role for her, and I love that role. And God, they really need to make more of that show. Oh, thank you, Spice and Wolf. Another one. If you haven't seen Spice and Wolf, shame on you. Go watch it. It's awesome. Trust me. You there with the red and the black jacket there.
Oh no, my battery's about to die. So, could you call my England as friends?
Oh, can I do it later, like through an autograph line or something? Because they tend to, because the phone's here, it's weird and all that, and I don't want to do it. No, I'm kidding. It's so awkward doing it in front of everyone. I'm like, hi, how are you? Like, yeah, it's weird. I'll do it for you later if you like. Yeah, find me and we'll do it then. Call your England and we'll totally prank them. This side of the room, I see you there. Yes, you.
Hi, first of
Hi.
all, I love your work.
Aww. You get a banana sticker. Thank you.
And I didn't know that you played William Shakespeare in Romeo and Juliet. And whenever I found this out, I was like, oh my gosh, Juliet plays William. I was wondering if you had any fun creating the voice of William.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah. I did. Do we have any Romeo and Juliet fans in the room? Like, oh, that's good. Awesome. I directed the dub along with our Bruce Elliott, the gentleman that played Conrad in the dub, and it's such a wonderful show. Taliesin Jaffe's scripts for that show were so wonderfully Shakespearean, and I am a Shakespeare nut. I take Shakespeare very seriously. Like, if you don't like Shakespeare, we cannot be friends. And I didn't want to be in the show as a main character or even a recurring character because I thought it's going to be difficult because I'm directing it, and I don't like to direct myself. And it was just going to work out. I'm like, whatever. But for some reason, all the wonderful actors we had to come in to read for William just didn't sound right to Bruce. Bruce was like, oh, they're good, but they either sound too old or they're not flamboyant enough. And so he was like, well, why don't you try it? And so I hadn't even really thought about it, and I just kind of jumped in for him just because he wanted me to do it, and I did it. And he was like, oh my God, you have to be William. And I'm like, well, then you had to be Conrad, so shut up. Like, he was like, I don't want to be Conrad, I don't want to be William, because it's not because we didn't like the characters, because it's just hard to direct yourself. So we made that trade. I'm like, I will be William if you will be Conrad, and so we made that deal, and we did, and I loved playing him. So it was really, I'm pretty sure if the real William Shakespeare and I ever met, he would slap me in the face for that portrayal. Because he's so very much like this, and everything is, oh dear, but I'm Shakespeare, and it's really ridiculous, but I love how he would be, one minute be really ridiculous and flamboyant, the next he would say something really profound, which is it's a very, very complicated character for all the time that he's not on screen. You're just like, his kind of spirit infuses the show. So it was a great honor, and it was kind of my love letter to the Bard, who has been probably the hugest influence on me creatively, which sounds really nerdy to say, but I love Shakespeare. I think Shakespeare is wonderful. I think Shakespeare invented us, if that makes sense. So,
Cream-faced loon.
good for you. What? Who said that?
Cream-faced loon. Get that?
Oh, you said the word. It's the Scottish play. Shh. Yeah, stand up, turn around, hot potato, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, no. Okay, let's see. I did that sound right? Okay, middle. Let's see. There is you with the gray hair.
I really like Soul Eater. Can you say something being Jericho's voice?
Oh, let's see. Do you have a line in mind? I can never remember his
I'm gonna
lines.
tear you to pieces.
Gira Cohen, Soul Eater with chainsaw legs. What a pain in the ass that would be to have chainsaw legs. Like, oh, did you see my new Vans? Oh, crap. Right? He has chainsaw legs. Like, he's like, brrr. That's great. He's not very good at ice skating. Let's see. So, okay, how does his voice go? It's been a while. Yeah, that's right. I'm gonna rip you to shreds.